Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have you today at the Leadership and Technology in Israel Symposium. We are going to get started with a video that was created by some students, so enjoy. Right. Thank you so much. So again, welcome to our symposium today. We're excited to share all of our experiences with you. My name is Colette Siddle, and I am a graduate student in the Organizational Leadership Program. I had the amazing opportunity to go on this trip, and I know I can speak for all of us when I say that we cannot wait to share the incredible impact that this program made on each of us. So before we get started, we want to give a quick thank you to the Global Education Office, specifically Max, for all of his hard work in developing and supporting the program. We would also like to thank Mejdi Tours, the Jewish Studies Department, especially Lisa Kaplan and Hava Samuelson, and CISA. So without further ado, I'd like to kick it over to Dr. B, our amazing leader of the program, to talk to you about how this program came to be.
Thank you so much, Colette, for starting us off today, as well as everybody else who put this together. So that's my first thank you to Colette and Aaron and Jared for coming up with this idea. So shalom, welcome, and toda rabah. Thank you very much for being here today, everybody, as we look at the Leadership and Technology in Israel Global Intensive Experience Program. I want to talk a little bit about where did this program come from? For those of you who don't know, back in September of 2021, I had the pleasure of meeting with some of my fraternity brothers at a brisket and bros. And one of the gentlemen there, we decided we were going to have coffee. And in October, we did that. And as we were talking and finding out that I hadn't been to Israel yet, he said, you know, I have a friend inside who's with somebody else who you need to meet. And that was someone from the Arizona Israel Technology Association. And when we got to talking, it was like, this would be a great study abroad program, like a nice short program for our students to have them go. So we started looking around, got in touch with Max, got the proposal done and everything. And we started then working with Mejdi Tours, which provided a great great framework for us in order to go through everything. So we spent the entire year getting things together, got a great class together, had a wonderful conversation with Lisa over at Jewish Studies, and through their support gave me the opportunity to go to Israel in July. So I thank you very much for that, Lisa and Hava and Jewish Studies, for providing that opportunity to give me the chance to really see things for myself, which is, I know, Lisa, your point for sending me there, so I would understand the area. And then we just hit the ground running to get a great class. Of course, Paul has been a great influence as well in this program. I appreciated him being my second faculty director throughout the program, but was also very integral in creating the curriculum for this program because he brought a very different perspective from the religious studies side of things and introduced us to some great people such as Noah Ephron, who he'll talk about a little bit himself. You know, as I also reflect on this program, as Colette mentioned, it was very transformative, I think, for everybody, and it includes myself as well. And everyone can talk about their own time there, and I'm going to let the students kind of speak for themselves with that. But again, I have a deep thank you to the College of Integrated Sciences and Arts, all of their support, Dean Grabsky, who is a big supporter of this program as well, the faculty head, Denise Bates, who helped us also in leadership and integrative studies, and of course, Jewish studies, as I've already mentioned, and they've been mentioned already, and Lisa and Hava specifically. But without further ado, I do want to just pass it over to Paul Cassell, who is our second faculty member, to have him to say a few opening words before bringing it back to the students. Paul.
Great, thank you so much. So I've never been a part of 12 days that have impacted my life as much as the 12 days that I spent in Israel. I was seriously skeptical of the, Brent, you don't know this, but I was skeptical of the idea that you could get a full credit, full 3 hours worth of credit in 12 days in a trip. And I thought, okay, well, that's why we're going to have to really beef up the intellectual content. I'm going to make sure that's my job. And I was amazed by how silly that concern felt after the 12 days there. I felt like I'm not a student, but I felt like I was a student that got a master's degree in, introduction to just wonderful, wonderful ideas and concerns and perspectives and leadership abilities and the technological stuff, all the stuff that we were doing on our trip. Was just an amazing experience for me. And I was grateful that I had my contact, my years actually with Jewish studies and with Hava that allowed me to see the connection that we could possibly make here and to really see that this could be a fruitful thing. And all I can say was this was an amazing trip, and I'm sure the students would agree. And I was thinking, well, who do I need to thank for this, right? And part of it was I needed this. It's this weird thing, but I needed to thank Israel itself. Like just being there was a profound experience, and not just because of the ancient historical blah 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 blah, but because of the way it lives in the tensions of this world, at the cross current of the 21st century, right? It's a fabulous place to be exposed to things that you wouldn't be exposed to otherwise. But I really need to thank Mejdi Tours as well, because they did a bang up job in putting together our program. Now, we'll be fine tuning it as we go, but that was a wonderful, wonderful program. The tour guides were fabulous. I felt like that was one of the highlights, was just getting to know them. Such interesting, wonderful people. And Brent, I wanted to say thank you to you, because this is your element. This is your gift. When you're here, when you're in this realm, you are doing what you were made to do. And it's wonderful to see someone walking in that in such a confident and an exciting way for everybody. It made it easy for everybody to fall into the course that you had, because you did such a great, fabulous job of leading it. And I really mean that from my heart, Brent. So, but lastly, I need to thank the students. We had a mix of undergrads and graduate students, and you all were amazing. And I don't know if I think we shared this, but Noah Ephron, who's a world famous scholar in his area, we had a special meeting with him and an old friend of his from the Knesset. And I just wanted to read what his very short email that he wrote us the next day. He said, "Dear Brent, Paul, Gil, Aaron, and Kim, I just wanted to thank you for the chance to meet with your remarkable group. Everyone was so bright and engaged and insightful and, well, morally alive and vital. I've met with a lot of groups, though nowhere near as many as Alon, who is his friend, the Knesset member that came. But I don't know when I met a group that I enjoyed so much. I figure that says a lot about you and how you recruited the group, and especially what you did in the long and very full days before we met with the people. Whatever you did, keep doing it. And thanks for letting me enjoy the fruits of your success." So I just was so tickled by that comment, because he was speaking to what he saw in the group, in the students, as they engaged these wonderful ideas that they were bringing. And you were a joy to be a part of. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You know, sometimes you think it's the trip and it's really the people. And I think, maybe the next year won't be nearly as good, and we'll scratch our heads. What did we do wrong? And it's just that we had such a fabulous group of people. So thank you so much for being a part of that. And that's all I had. Again, thank you, everybody who made this happen. Hava, Lisa, thank you so much. Brent, thank you so much. Max and Mejdi, thank you so much. And to the students again. Colette, back to you.
Thank you so much for that. Totally seconded. I mean, the people on this trip were absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so thankful for being able to meet all of them and all of you, to the professors as well. So as for my experience, as someone who is an online grad student, the experience of participating in this program was invaluable. I am, of course, really thankful to have the opportunity to complete my master's degree online, as I work full time and it's what works for my schedule, but I really have missed in-person learning. So meeting and connecting with students and professors while being immersed in a new culture, it was exactly what I needed to really reinvigorate my love of learning. In this program, you have the opportunity to talk with many different people with all types of backgrounds and beliefs. In Israel, I learned about how Judaism is embedded in every single part of Israeli culture, from their governmental policies to the fact that the entire country celebrates Shabbat every week, including businesses, which was very new to me. I also learned that even with Judaism, there is, or within it, there is a wide array of values, opinions, and ways of living. And we got to observe conversations happen between people that didn't always agree with each other, but who could still set aside their differences and form a meaningful friendship. Usually I would say that I pride myself on having an open mind, and empathizing with all sorts of groups. But looking back, I realized that I had made a lot of assumptions about what Israel was like. And I also tried a lot to equate Israel's society, and history and culture with the United States to have a better understanding. And I don't think that's always necessarily a bad thing. There were some things, but I really learned that you can't always correlate your own experiences and with others and draw exact parallels. And sometimes you just have to listen. I'm not sure I would have had that aha moment if I hadn't been directly exposed to Israeli culture and the way that we were during our trip. Now that I have been back for a couple of months, I have realized that I have an entirely new perspective on what it means to truly listen to others without making assumptions. Professionally, this has helped me incredibly. I've become a better leader, a better coach, and I would say it's even helped me in my personal relationships as well. And I just have a different outlook on the world, and all of us who have all these different perspectives, experiences, and backgrounds. So for that, I am forever grateful for my leadership and technology in Israel experience. So now I am excited to turn it over to a video highlighting some of the undergraduate students from this trip, Vishnu, Steph, and Melissa, to hear their perspectives.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Urbano, and I'm an undergraduate majoring in global studies with a focus on international policy. I recently went on the Israel 2022 study abroad program, and I had such a phenomenal time, and I learned so much. I'm super excited to be able to share some of these experiences with you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Villalobos, and I am a first-generation senior going for my organizational leadership undergrad here at ASU.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Vishnu Raghavan. I am currently a senior studying political science at ASU.
Part of the reason I chose to go to Israel was to challenge myself to engage in a new environment. I had the chance to really meet leaders who took that leap of faith in their lives to make a change in their community and lives. And I was able to ask them questions and hear about their life's experiences and really talk to them about their successes and failures. And I also got to do that with my peers and my mentors, which it's Dr. Brent and Paul. Going to this trip, I was able to meet leaders from the kibbutz or the desalination plant. And, the common theme for all their successes was their love of the cause, and they found and created change within their communities. I give thanks to the December 2022 winter break trip in Israel. It was 10 days, but it really did prove to give me the skills I needed to understand to push forward in my life.
Throughout our Israel trip, we got to experience and observe many different leadership philosophies. Each leader provided a different perspective, allowing us to take away lessons from each of them. Personally, I learned a great deal from my trip, even though I'd worked in a contemporary office before. I learned the importance of welcoming and actively recruiting diversity of thought. In Israel, there is so much diversity, not just demographically, but intellectually. Harnessing this allows organizations a much wider ranges of ideas and experiences. Next, I learned to minimize risk aversion. In Israel, failure is celebrated. It's viewed as an opportunity to learn and to grow, not as a career catastrophe. This empowered me to make more chances as a leader, to build trust and ownership of my followers. I cannot express how much my leadership philosophy grew throughout our trip to Israel.
I'll say that my study abroad experience has prepared me for the contemporary workplace due to its international nature, in the sense that we needed to interact with people, obviously from Israel as well as from Palestine. In my case, I interacted with tourists from Germany or France. I spoke with a girl from Germany for an hour in German, and I think that the contemporary workplace is very international and requires competencies in other languages, which I was able to develop during my time in Israel.
One of the interesting aspects about the American perception and depiction of how Israel is that it's a Hebrew country where the religion dictates most of the culture. I had heard before that being Hebrew was not just a religion, but an ethnicity and a culture. I didn't fully understand this until visiting Israel. Judaism is not just a religion, as many of the people in Israel are actually secular, but for them it is their heritage and their history. This is reflected in every aspect of their society. Their constitution is based on the principles of Judaism, and their political parties must support Judaism. Particularly, Zionism is an interesting crossroads between the religious, historical, and political lines of Judaism. Zionism is a driving force for conversation and policy decisions and often defines leadership styles. This translates to the greater culture of the country by defining its demographic makeup, international relations, and social divides.
So Judaism has certainly influenced Israel's cultural and governmental practices, especially with how we see basically the entire city of Jerusalem closed down when it's time for Shabbat, including private businesses. Everything really comes to a halt at past 3 p.m. So that people can celebrate Shabbat. This is most certainly a Jewish phenomenon. And for its government, We learned in the Knesset that Israel was Jewish and democratic, but currently its government is composed of mostly Orthodox Jews. When it comes to technology, there's a big belief in Judaism that encourages equality, and we can see in places like Haifa how there's collaboration between both Jews and non-Jews towards creating technology that is beneficial for everyone.
So Israel was founded based on the events that happened during World War II, and these events really founded what Israel meant to the Jewish population. It was a safe haven where they could go to when the world turned their back on them. And it was a promised land that they were able to build up what they lost during that war. And their main drive for this innovation was to become a nation that was self-sufficient and self-reliant on the resources where they lacked. So Israel is lacking water, and one of the big things that they're doing is desalination. And now, California is using it. So that's pretty cool to see where it all started. So Judaism really affects how Israel runs. You could see it with how they practice Shabbat throughout the country, and it's influenced every corner of how things work.
I really think that I did this by immersing myself as much as I could in Israel's history, especially its ancient history, which I really knew nothing about before I went there. I also did my best to learn Hebrew and a little Arabic when I went to Ramallah. So this really did help me understand the languages in addition to its history.
I started to understand more the differences between what all the Jewish people were, like the Orthodox Jews to an Orthodox Jew to a modern Jew. What I was able to develop was a more empathetic and excited approach to learning. And I think I was able to build more skills on communicating and expressing my thoughts when it came to being able to open your eyes to something that's different from you and accepting it and learning about it. So that was very amazing.
To develop intercultural competencies in Israel, we interacted with many different types of people. One of the most difficult and important conversations we needed to learn to have were those concerning Israel and Palestine. It was very clear that the Israel-Palestine conflict is a very real and front-of-mind topic for the region. Depending on who we were talking to, we had to approach the subject differently as to not offend and to truly understand their perspective. This allowed us to get the bigger picture on the problem without breaching social norms. Additionally, based on what area of Israel we were in, we would adjust our dress, questions, and customs. This allowed us to embrace the diversity of the area and appreciate their values and customs.
As an online student, networking and connecting through a screen is very hard because we're all in different time zones, and you don't really get that one-on-one treatment unless you really schedule it, and who really has time to schedule? And I went for the experience, but I got so much more in return. I met lifelong friends, remembering that as a student who will be a future leader in our fields, whatever that field may be, this is an opportunity that can uniquely expand any thought or any career options with insight through a scope of networking occasions in a small setting. Well, at least I could speak for myself. I was thinking very narrow-mindedly with certain situations that we walked into in Israel, and through peer discussions, and when I'm telling you discussions, it means like hour-long, half-hour, day-long, sit down in the hallway discussions. And it wasn't forced. It was It was very organic.
I think the biggest takeaway that I can offer anyone who is going to Israel is that they need to push themselves and do something that they wouldn't necessarily be very comfortable doing. In my case in Israel, that was actually taking a step back and allowing other people to ask questions on tours, or allowing other people to speak. And because I myself wanted to learn everything, but I take a step back, and I'm a much better person because of it today. And I recommend that everybody does this when they go to Israel.
Israel is one of the best examples of how history and culture can shape leadership and technology. Much of the technology was developed out of a need to survive in a modern, developing world. We saw great innovation in their desalination plants, their irrigation systems, military defense systems, among many other impressive creations that have made Israel a leader in technology. This leading edge has given Israel its place on the world stage, leveraging its sought-after technology to create relationships and to establish their economy. It was only through great leadership that this was achievable. The leaders of Israel faced many great obstacles in establishing, defending, and sustaining their country. If you choose to visit Israel, which I strongly recommend, actively listen to everyone and try to understand their perspectives and feelings. Be attentive and respectful of their opinions because you'll hear many that conflict. It's an excellent exercise in keeping an open mind and developing your worldview to consider the bigger picture.
Wow. I'm going to give everybody a moment to turn your volume down if you had to turn it up for that video. So hello, everyone. That is really hard to follow. Thank you to everyone for being here. My name is Aaron Belbeck. I am a graduate student here at ASU. And much like Colette, I will be graduating with my master's in organizational leadership. I am going to keep this short. I just want to make sure I get a big thank you, but I've really only been out of the country once, and that was to Canada, and that was for about 3 hours. So that was also back in 1999. To go to Israel for me was absolutely amazing. Someone mentioned New Jersey, and so yes, there's so much history and culture and passion in such a small area. And I don't really want to rehash everything everybody said. Very, very powerful stuff. Now, I do want to say, again, thank you to everyone for being here. I could not have gone to this trip without the encouragement of Dr. B. I couldn't have survived on the trip without Paul, and I would not have been able to start the trip and end the trip without the support of the GEO and the Jewish Studies here at ASU. So again, a big heartfelt thanks. And then I'm going to pass it off to our final grad student, as Jared. Let me get you up here, buddy.
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate that. Yeah, we have a lot more thank yous to give out. We are so grateful to have had the experience that we had in Israel, and even the moments leading up to the trip were really fruitful for us as we got to connect a bit in our group chat and just get excited about what we were embarking on. So I know for me, none of that would have been possible without the generous giving of the Jewish Studies Department and providing scholarships and the opportunity for someone like me to be able to go to a place like Israel. And similar to Aaron, I'd been out of the country one other time before on a short trip. So this was an amazing way not just to increase my cultural capital, but to have a really enriching academic and intellectual experience, which I think all of us can attest to. Just some quick takeaways. I know that we've had some great highlights from some of our other students. I was really amazed by our attention to detail on leadership and technology in Israel, and it's extremely fascinating. Just to highlight a couple key things. And again, New Jersey is fascinating for me. I'm from Pennsylvania. So to think that a place such as Israel, smaller than New Jersey, half of which is a desert, found a way to be able to turn ocean water into clean drinking water, which provides 75% of the clean drinking water to the nation of Israel. That's amazing to me. The innovation is such a prominent example of the stick-to-itiveness, if you will, of Israel, and their willingness to push through deep and rich and extensive cultural challenges and beautiful experiences and all that comes along with being such an ancient land and civilization. So that was amazing to me. And another thing to shout out our tour guides as well, who couldn't grace us with their presence today. The ability to see how much they had respect and honor for each other. We had the opportunity to have both an Israeli guide and a Palestinian guide simultaneously on a large part of our trip. And the ways in which they were able to interact with each other and present differing perspectives of the nation and the history of the land is extremely important, and even informs us as we go into different areas of our life of how we need to be aware of respecting other people's opinions and receiving them with appreciation and understanding that there's always more than one type of history. There's always more than one type of story. Being able to explore a little bit of different types of stories in Israel was a great opportunity. So I'm very thankful for those who made it possible, for my fellow students, for our faculty. We are very appreciative for all of you. I'm very appreciative to have been a part of the experience. And I want to pass it to Dr. B to be able to talk about the future of the program and how others of you who hopefully are on this call and those that couldn't make it can join in this experience in the future.
Thank you so much, Jared and Aaron and Colette, because this would not be possible without the three of you, because this was part of your task that you brought on for yourselves. And I'm so glad that you did, because I think it's such a unique experience to be able to share what's happening or what has happened and then what will happen. You know, the future. I mean, I think we always have to look towards the future. Well, the good news is we've been approved for 3 years to continue this program, at least. And I'm happy to say that for 2023, we have Patience, who's also in the audience, who will be joining me in Israel. And in 2024, Eva just was able to join us. So thank you both for coming today to learn a little bit about the program. You know, one of the biggest and hardest things to do when you're creating a program like this is, what do we do, right? What do we include? What do we not include? So we went with this spaghetti on the wall effect, where you take the big bowl of spaghetti, you throw it on the wall, and let's see what sticks. And of course, we too much stuck this first round, and there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of great things happening, and a lot of sleepy people. So we've taken a step back, and we all agreed on the trip. This is the thing, right? We need to put this through a colander and get some of the stuff out. But you know, while we were also there, we also discovered, wow, this would be a really cool addition to do. So we've actually are nearing down to getting our program set for 2023, and we will be going back to the Matitech Museum and be doing a Fab Lab experience where the students will be given a problem to solve and get to use their leadership skills and create something to bring home with them as a souvenir. We're going to switch things up a little bit. We're not going to go over to the Galilee area. We're going to head directly south after we were in Haifa for a couple of days to Caesarea, right, which is the home of the Herod's seaport, which is going to be a great juxtaposition to Masada when we go there for his palace later on in the trip. We're going to add in visiting the Eish HaTorah World Center, which is by the Western Wall. We've gotten some great contacts from there, and that's going to really kind of round out and provide a lot of good information about Judaism in Israel. I think everyone mentioned Shabbat dinner. I mean, it was probably one of the most amazing nights, even for me as well. And we're going to continue that tradition in Jerusalem with Soul. We took our Shabbat on Friday instead of Saturday because of logistics, and we're going to continue that this time around. But you know, doing Soul and just putting the phones away and just being with each other was just so amazing, and I think that's obvious from everyone's comments. Of course, Yad Vashem and the Knesset will be on there. We're going to be looking into going to the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange and the Taglit Innovation Center that's attached to it to bring in a little bit more on the innovation piece. And then also we're working on getting another experiential experience with Mindset, with maybe a small little hackathon to finish us off. And all of this, of course, with our wonderful guides that we'll have from Mejdi, and bringing in the information about how Judaism influences all of this, and culture, and just everything. So I'm looking forward to the future. Paul, I want to just comment on, you know, it's not going to be as good as this year. It's going to be different. We know every year is different, and all of them are awesome. That's the way it works out with study abroad. Or at least that's been my experience with study abroad, and I hope that continues. Again, just a heartfelt thank to everybody for being here today. We are going to open it up for questions. But before we do questions, I wanted to give either Lisa or Hava or Max, if you wanted to say anything at all, just let me know and we can spotlight you.
I can just
I'll
go
be
real
glad to
quick.
say.
Oh, sorry, I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. No. But I'm excited that all of you had this wonderful experience. It's really terrific. Noah Ephron, as I think Paul knows, Noah Ephron is a good friend of mine. So I'm delighted that he found you group a good representation of ASU, since he's been doing quite a lot of work with me personally in my research, but also at ASU. He was our keynote speaker in a conference we did in 2020, March 2nd to 4th, just before the Corona limitations were put into effect. So Noah is a very good friend. I do want to bring to your attention a few issues that I think you need to understand, that what you've seen is only the tip of the iceberg. I'm from Israel, as you can hear from my accent. What you've seen is the tip of the iceberg, and the situation there right now especially is much more complex, and you need to be aware of the complexity. It's not pretty, it's not idealistic, and it's really rather tragic. So I will just let you know, in case you're not familiar, and you should be familiar by reading the news, Israel is on the brink of a major, could be a major catastrophe, because democracy is on the line right now in Israel. Are you aware of the problem? I don't know if you are or you're not. I see that Brent is saying yes. So everybody needs to know that things can turn around very quickly in a bad way. And part of the problem is precisely the issue of technology and contemporary education, that scientific education that is required in order for Israel to keep up its technological edge. Because what's at stake is the educational system. And it's very possible that if things go the wrong way, Israel would lose its technological advantage because of changes in the democratic, or rather non-democratic structure that the government would like to put into place right now. So the situation is dire. You probably know that there are a lot of massive protests of hundreds of thousands of people, which in Israel is a lot of people. And hopefully things will, there will be some compromise, but I'm not too sanguine about it. The other things that I would like to suggest to you, the reason you enjoyed the experience so much is I believe it was not just because of the wonderful place that Israel is, but also because it was an in-person experience. So I think I like what Colette said. There's a huge difference doing things online and interacting people just as holograms or whatever representation on a screen, as opposed to in person. So to me, your experience actually validates what I always believe, which is learning is a communal experience, and it has to happen with real people, real bodies, and not just information online. And finally, actually, I thought that the introductory video that you put together is so excellent that I would like, or you would like to, if I can do it or you can do it, maybe share it with President Crow. I think it's a very slick and a wonderful presentation of what students in ASU can do, and I think he would love to do it. And if you want to send it to me, I can send it to him, or you can do it directly. But Paul, I think, Paul and Brent, I think you've got something to tell the community here and beyond just the study abroad office, even though that's good. But I think the president would love to see, precisely because it was about Israel, about leadership, about innovation, all the values that President Crow appreciates so much. So that's my
and this is
impression.
Lisa. I'm just going to add to just real quickly to what Hava said. I actually would like us to be able to put that up on our website so that we can help promote the program for future years. we'll create a special section of our website for it so that it doesn't distract from the other parts. But it was excellent, and we can definitely share that through our website. And the students who we gave scholarships to, we want to hear from you. We want you to, I think you're all on here. So we want to get a one-page little article from you that we can share with the community, not just the ASU community, but we have about a 4,000 person mailing list of people who support Jewish studies that we would like to share information about the trip and your experiences on the trip as part of our annual report. So you'll be hearing from me, but please, and probably Brent will probably need some sort of a some sort of something from you as well. But that's going to be something that we're going to want to share with as many people as possible. And lastly, I would say, just thinking towards the future, I think we need to have a meeting. It doesn't need to be everybody. It probably just needs to be Brent and me, or Brent and me and Hava, or whoever, to talk about the scholarships and how we're promoting them, and how much we're going to be able to give now that this is a longer term experiment or longer term trip, and knowing how much money we have in scholarships and all of that. So it was a pleasure to work with those of you who we did provide scholarship money to. But next time we have to do it further in advance. It's better that way for everyone.
Yeah, and one more thing, a point of information. Alon Tal, I mentioned it to Paul, but Paul, I don't know if you shared it with your cohorts and your students. Alon Tal will be here in Phoenix on March 20th. So since you met with him, but he's going to address the Jewish community. Lisa, I believe it's at 7 o'clock, right?
Yes, at the JCC.
At the JCC up in Scottsdale.
But I believe it'll also be on Zoom.
Yes, it does. It does suggest that it's going to be we're going to do it as a hybrid event. And Alon, as you met, is as you now know, is a leading environmentalist in Israel, and I've known him at least since 2012, and he's a major contributor to one of the most important projects in Israel right now. Not everybody is on the same page with him, but as you know, he's for limiting the growth of populations in Israel. I'm sure he shared it with you. So he's terrific, and we're very honored to host him as second time here in Phoenix.
Excellent. Yes, I definitely would like some more information on that. And thank you, Hava, for your keen insights. And Lisa, yes, of course, let's get together. I definitely want to do things much sooner. Right now that we're in this, let's figure out how we're going to do, like you said, if Jewish Studies is willing to support with some scholarships and stuff, I definitely would love to talk with you about that. So I'll reach out to you to set up a meeting so we can do that. I want to open up to any questions that anybody in our audience has, and we'll go from there. So we have, let's see, we have Stephanie and Crystal, and I think, yep, go ahead, Crystal. You can just unmute. It was very informal.
Hi, I was just wondering about how many students go on the trip, and then I was also wondering how much it was.
Sure. So we can have anywhere from, the minimum is 10 to 20 students. The cost right now, we are finalizing for this year. I can say for last year, the program charge was $4,300. And depending on whether or not you're an online student or an in-person student, there could be additional charges for credits. And then airfare, depending, we had people that got, I think the lowest was about $900, and you can go up from there.
Yeah.
And then some spending cash.
Okay.
So start saving now.
Yes, right.
And looking for
That-
other scholarships as well and opportunities. The Gilman Scholarship is one that is available for this. It's up to a $5,000 scholarship, and you can apply proactively. You don't have to wait for the program to go. But I will say, here's my pitch. The sooner we have 10 students committed to go, the sooner we can say, buy your airline tickets, get stuff ahead of time. So hopefully we won't be waiting till October 1st for all that. Max had to leave from the Global Education Office because he had another commitment. Michael, glad we were able to answer your question, but if you have any more, let us know. I guess I'll say timeline, just so you know. I did just get a brief of where we are in terms of the programming and what it's going to look like for next year. And then we'll be getting some pricing in the next few days and then working on the budget. So we're looking hopefully in the next month, we're going to be, so it'll be at the middle of March after spring break, end of March, getting this program open. If you have not gone to the website under the Global Education Office to sign up to be notified as soon as it opens up, please make sure to do that. And I think everyone on this call has, but I will throw that in the chat just in case you have not. And this video, and this video is, by the way, everyone in meeting, there we go, is on our home site there. And I will definitely, Hava and Lisa, provide links to it for you. And Hava, I appreciate you willing to write Michael Crow. I think it would be better coming from you, if you don't mind doing that. And I'll send you
I
a
don't mind
link.
doing it. Just send me the right link to the right program.
Yep, I will. Yeah, do you want me just to send you the program link, or which I can do, or I can send you a link just to the video?
Just to the video. Actually, both would probably be good. He probably
Okay.
would like to see all of it.
Okay. Sounds
And
wonderful.
I also advise you maybe at some point to include Beersheba in the planning, because there's a lot of work, especially in relationship to both technology, and ASU is very connected to various technological projects in Ben-Gurion University in Beersheba. And President Crow is going to get an honorary degree from Ben-Gurion University in May.
Oh.
So it's kind of all, maybe just come to, begin to think of it as a place. There's a lot of wonderful stuff that will fit very well into your program.
It'd be wonderful, and we can talk about some maybe connections
Sure.
and stuff to get that talk going for 2024. I love it. Forward thinking to the next year. I love that. Any other questions that we have today from anybody?
I did have one more for you. Is there
Sure.
any class that's associated with this? Like
There
I've had,
is.
is it like a semester A or B or?
Right. So this goes along with the fall B semester, and it will be OGL 365 for the undergrads, and then OGL 598 for the graduate students. You do not have to be in an organizational leadership degree in order to go on the program and to earn the credit. We can talk about that as well. If there's something we can do working with you in your, if you're not an OGL student. But all of the work will be contained really in the month of December. So it's kind of like an extra course.
Gotcha.
There'll be an introduction of everything around the middle of November, right? We'll do our departure meeting. I'll open up the class so you can kind of see what needs to be done. There's a little bit of work before. There's some reflecting and blogging as we go along. And then there's a big heavy lift in the you have about a week, right, to get your paper completed that needs to be done.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And Aaron, I want to just explain what you just put in the drive here.
Yes, absolutely. So if anybody's interested, I went ahead and shared the testimonials video. It's going to be linked in the chat, but I'm going to make sure that Dr. B has a copy that he can download and share as well. Because I know since I've watched that video several times, to me it's very inspiring. And I definitely appreciated that. So if you want to get a copy of that, just let him know.
Yeah, it's processing right now. Excellent. All right.
I
If
just thought of
there's
one more.
oh, please come on, bring them on, Crystal.
So the fall B course, are we going to be able to register for that on Friday when
No,
registration
don't
opens?
worry about, no. You don't have to worry about any of that because we don't create the courses until we're going, in which
Okay,
case
makes sense.
you will be put into the course.
Okay,
On your
gotcha.
own. I will say you will know before B session starts, right? Because the latest that we'll know is the beginning of October. So that's
Okay.
number one, right? Whether or not you need to take something else. So right now, schedule as if you wouldn't be taking this course. And then
Okay.
you can either do a substitution or take it in addition to.
Okay. Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you.
I will just say this one other piece just for everybody when it comes to financial aid with this B session. If you have an issue yourself and aren't able to go on the program, which does happen occasionally, that might affect something. So make sure you keep that in mind and that you have your ducks in a row when you're going through this. So final pieces of advice for any study abroad program. For with everyone who knows me, yes, I want you to come with me on my programs, but if you are a student, please go somewhere on a study abroad program. Even if you're online, you've heard from Aaron and Colette, who are our two online students who were there in our graduate program. We have Shannon here and Melissa, who are also our online students in the undergrad program. So if you want to turn your cameras on and wave, you can. And then Steph here is local here in Phoenix, and Vishnu and Jared are here in Phoenix. So we have a nice, amazing mix of folks who go on these programs. And, this time was very special. So Paul, it will never be the same because who can ever say that they celebrated a 30th wedding anniversary on a study abroad trip, which was a beautiful thing for us to be able to do. Anyway, that's all I have. I appreciate everybody for being here, all the work that has gone into creating this symposium to show like what happened this first time around. It really means a lot. And yes, Paul, this is my love. This is my love when it comes to the work that I do. And I appreciate you recognizing that, and I appreciate all of you being here. And for a final piece, I'm going to pass it back off to Jared.
Awesome. Yeah, that's hard to follow, but I think for those of you who weren't on the trip, you can see how much passion and enthusiasm goes into this experience. And we're just really grateful to have been able to have the opportunity to share it with you all. This is a very formative experience for us, and we really hope that you'll, like Dr. B said, take an opportunity to seek out this experience for yourself, whether it be with Dr. B and Professor Patience, one of my other professors. Good to see you. We would love to see you come through and to have that experience for yourself. So just in closing, again, we just want to say another big thank you for everyone who made this possible. I think Zoom has virtual applause, so if you want to throw a virtual applause in there for all the people that made this happen. Yes, a little round of applause, if you will. Yes, thank you so much. We could spend a long time thanking all the people, the tour guides, the people in the kibbutz. You'll learn what that means if you go on the trip. That's a little cliffhanger. We had so much fun, and we're just grateful to share it with you and hope that you'll have this experience for yourself. And with saying all that, you are now all dismissed. Hope that you have a great rest of your day. If you have questions, please reach out to Dr. B, and he will be a great resource for you. Thank you all.